Today we're going to look at 5 cheap luxury cars that you can buy for under £20,000. Huge depreciation on all 5 of these cars. Let's get straight into it. Do hit like if you want to see more videos like this. Subscribe as well if you're new. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's kick this video off with the Jaguar XJ in its most luxurious spec, the Autobiography, which as of only recently is confirmed as the last full-size luxury car from the Jaguar brand of old, with their new rebrand redefining the way Jaguar cars will look and feel. And the XJ definitely does a good job of looking like an executive luxury car with its pretty muscular proportions, but the real fun happens on the interior, which is absolutely clad with features to keep all occupants happy. That includes massaging rear seats, heated and cooled seats all around as well, DAB TVs, quad zone climate control, and folding tables in the rear, all as standard. And on the lovely materials used like the leather headliner, real oak veneer for the inlays, and stainless steel for some of the trims, and it feels real rather than plasticky and cheap. These come with the only diesel engine on the list, a 3-litre twin-turbocharged V6 example to be exact, which puts out 295 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 5.9 seconds. Not bad, but by no means the most performance-focused example of this full-size luxury car. Even better, go for the right year, and road tax is pretty good on these at £255, so much better than you'd expect out of a 9-year-old diesel. They're actually known to be one of the better luxury cars to drive too, so even if you're in the prime seat, you'll be having a good time. The main complaint made by owners about driving, however, is that these aren't quite as plush a ride as many other luxury cars. These start at around £17,500, though of course you could go cheaper with a less luxurious spec, and £20,000 will get you into a 2016 model with around 50,000 miles on the clock. Leaking water pumps and electrical issues appear to be 2 of the most common problems I could find on forums. To add on to that, some owners have mentioned gearbox issues, and a super common issue across multiple luxury cars also plagues these, the air suspensions going and needing quite an expensive replacement. Next up we have the BMW 740 Li from the G11 or 6th generation 7 series, though as it's an Li, therefore long wheelbase, that means we're actually talking about the G12. Regardless, having been a passenger in the back of one of these to enjoy the luxury for a long journey, I can attest firsthand they are an incredibly lovely place to be, especially for under 20k. The rear seats are ludicrously comfortable, and you feel like you're in your own world even with someone else sitting in the back next to you. The seats are of course massaging, heated and cooled, and you get your own personal infotainment screen in front of you to keep you occupied watching something, or simply to be used to look at the map, change the temperature and all the rest. If you're lucky, you might even get the reclining rear seats, which are an ideal place to take a nap. This luxury BMW comes with a 3-litre turbocharged inline-6 engine that makes 321 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 5.4 seconds, which is pretty good when you consider there are multiple 7 series specs that are faster and more powerful than this, but cost a lot more money. And when it comes to road tax, you're looking at £255 for one of these, again super decent considering. As it's quite a big car, BMW have done a bunch of weight saving on it, including with carbon fiber reinforced polymer, tensile steel and aluminium. That has also helped to give it a lower center of gravity, which is combined with more rigidity and the likes to make a car that actually handles reasonably well for its size. £14,500 is the minimum I can find these listed for, and 20 grand will get you into a 2017 model that's done around 50,000 miles. These have actually been really decent on reliability so far, with the more problematic engine being the V8 in comparison. As they're full of lovely tech, however, there are potential issues with non-engine electrics giving up, but owners on forums broadly seem to have had pretty good reliability on them so far. Within the 20k price range, it's basically impossible to ignore the first generation Bentley Continental Flying Spur, which first went on sale back in 2005 as the full-size luxury saloon version of the more common Continental GT. When it comes to luxury badge and interiors, value for money doesn't get much better than these, though of course as they're a bit older, they won't have all the modern luxuries of the other 4 cars on this list. But what it lacks as a result of its age, it makes back in how timeless that interior is. Even through to more recent Bentley generations, that general vibe has remained, and given they're pretty rare, they'll probably turn more heads out on the roads than other luxury cars on this list. Despite being the oldest car on the list, it's still the most powerful thanks to that 6-litre twin turbocharged W12 engine that makes 552 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.9 seconds, so we've broken the 5-second mark, and road tax is a little bit higher with these unfortunately, at £415 if you get one up to the end of 2006, and later models jump up to £735 per year. Go for a Mulliner example and you'll get even more bespoke options available, including in some cases a fridge between the rear seats. And if you'd rather buy a car to drive rather than be driven in, you could always sack the Flying Spur off and go for the GT instead. 10 grand is around about where these start nowadays, and double that will get you into a 2008 model with less than 40,000 miles on the clock, though that low mileage won't necessarily always be a good thing. That's because these cars actually don't mind being driven and maintained. Leaving them stationary and not using them has caused some owners more difficult issues to resolve, and even though they get a bad rap online, they're actually pretty reliable in general, with the main problem instead being that preventative maintenance can cost you quite a bit, given it's a Bentley. So I hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you're one of these 73% of people who haven't subscribed yet, please do consider doing so. I put out 2 videos every single week, and I've got some very interesting car-related news for you coming up. Not just one bit, but 2 important bits of news. Taking second on the list, we have the Mercedes S500 L from the 6th generation S-Class, meaning we're getting into something pretty recent, given the 6th gen only ended production in 2020. Like the BMW, that L denotes long wheelbase, and again like the BMW, I've been lucky enough to spend some time in the back of one of these, and my gosh, are they a lovely place to be. As someone who loves to drive, I would happily forgo that driving to chill in the back of one of these in either rubbish city traffic or long motorway journeys. This car was fully focused on being as comfortable to cruise around in as possible, with the standard hydropneumatic active suspension and active body control being given a fresh update that we've seen on some Mercs since, called Magic Body Control. Effectively what it does is scan the road ahead for any sketchy surfaces and adjust the shock damping at each individual wheel to prepare it to account for potholes, bumps and the likes. These come with a massive 4.7 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine that makes 448 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.6 seconds, so we're getting some pretty serious performance for a luxury car you're supposed to sit in the back of. On road tax, they're currently £415 per year too, so not too horrendous for a car that was almost 100k brand new. Build quality, finish, technology, equipment, for its time, this S-Class topped all of those categories, and though the interiors might not be as pretty as some of the other cars on this list, they'll definitely keep you very happy as a passenger. That's the benefit of getting a flagship luxury Mercedes. These will run you anywhere from around £19,500, making this the most expensive car on the list, and 20 grand gets you a 2015 model with around 60,000 miles on the clock. The main issues to note on these, like the BMW, come from the non-engine electrics, which makes sense with the amount of tech in there. It's silly stuff like the seatbelt extenders not working or the start-stop system needing a software update to let the car idle correctly. Outside of that, generally these have been pretty solid for owners so far. Taking the top spot on this list, we have the 3rd generation Audi S8, which isn't really the most luxurious version of the A8 platform, especially because it sits on a shorter wheelbase than the more luxurious A8L. However, it's probably the one car on this list that you'd want to drive as a luxury car, given it comes with some serious features that make it a bunch more dynamic. This car actually shares a lot of its parts with its contemporary Bentley Continental GT, and it was built by Audi as a competitor to the Mercedes S63 AMG of the generation of S-Class we just spoke about. Considering those S63s are completely out of our price range, it shows the potential value that an S8 could provide to someone who wants to mix luxury with speed. As is the only car with an actual performance badge on it, of course it was going to take the top spot thanks to its 4 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine that makes 512 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.1 seconds, helped of course by it being a quattro. Sadly, the road tax on these is pretty expensive though, at £710 per year, something to note before you get into one. Post 2016 you could even get an S8 Plus edition, which puts out over 600 brake horsepower and got carbon ceramic brakes and the likes, really dialing up this car's performance and making it the most aggressive example, given there's no RS8 to speak of. These start at around £15,000, and 5k more than that will get you into a high mileage 2014 model. Early onset retirement of the car's turbochargers has been a known issue, and the air suspension has been a key point of failure too. Non-engine electrics are also known to go, but the turbos are definitely the most well-known issue to note on these, though owners do suggest on forums that these are generally pretty reliable. So there you have it, 5 great luxury cars for under 20k. I hope you enjoyed. Do hit like and subscribe if you did. Big thanks for watching, to the patrons for their support, and click on screen to see some more luxury cars.